Well, I'm here with two of our seniors from Bemidji High School in Calvary, and they're going to share a little bit about life and faith and just where they're at. And so I'll have you introduce yourselves and just say what your plans are for next year.
I'm Lizzie Wadena. I'm going to Minnesota State University Mankato to double major in elementary ed and special ed.
My name is Lindsay Hildenbrand, and I'm going to Concordia Moorhead to major in elementary education.
So I want you to think of two memories, one specifically to Calvary. If I asked you over the last, let's just say 4 years, your high school career, what's a major memory you have for Calvary? But then also, what's a major memory that you have out at BHS and just in school? So you can start with one or take them both if you know them. Or
My favorite memory from Calvary is the mission trip to Denver, just because I was more outgoing that year and I really liked my group. And then my favorite memory from high school is show choir weekends, our competition weekends with my friends.
And what year? So you said Denver mission trip, so that was 2019.
Last summer.
Okay.
I would say my favorite would be the mission trip to Florida, because I just like Florida. I like the beach. I like the atmosphere. Everyone was so outgoing, and coming in, I was super scared for my freshman year, but everyone was so including. And then my favorite memory from high school would probably be the soccer team, just the runs we made, and yeah, all my friends.
Yeah. So over the last 4 years, if you think about all the mission trips, all the retreats, all the different events, what is something that you kind of learned about yourself or just about faith over the course of these last 4 years that just kind of surprised you, or just the way that God showed up in kind of in a cool way that you would say?
In faith, I would say I've grown in my faith a lot. As a freshman, I didn't totally know. I believed in God, but I didn't totally know who God and Jesus were.
Yeah.
But I think I've really expanded my faith, if that's what you want to call it. And what was your other question?
Yeah. No, that's right.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Since freshman year, my faith has grown a lot too. And in middle school, I felt like it was kind of people judged me a little bit if I went to church and talked about it. But now I'm proud to talk about it and tell people about God.
Yeah. What would you say to yourself maybe, or to someone who's listening to this that's maybe an 8th grader, 9th grader, kind of young in their high school career, even looking back at your own life, coming back into from middle school to high school, what do you know now, or how do you live your life now that you wish you were I just wish back when I was starting out high school, or when I was kind of getting into this, that I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have known this?
I wish that I wouldn't have procrastinated as much as I did, because that's really bad, and then I continued to do it. And I also wish that I would have been involved more when I was younger.
I would say, now that people aren't watching you as much as you think they're watching you. You feel so, you want to be included freshman year, and you want to find the right group, you want to be the cool kid, but, everyone finds their friends, everyone has their own, place or whatever. And I think, I don't know, just be, okay with yourself. This is where I'm, this is the church I want to go to. This is what I want to play. Don't do something just because the crowd's going there. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. And let's go a little bit deeper into that, because I think that's really important, because in high school, especially these days, you feel so much pressure to be a certain way and to look a certain way and to do a certain thing. How have you to kind of balance that pressure of going with the flow, but not following the ways of the world, but just kind of no, this is who I am, I'm a Christian, and this is how I want to live out my faith, and not kind of bow down to those kind of high school idols of popularity, of alcohol, of whatever it may be? How have you kind of balanced that?
I found who my real friends were, and a lot of them happened to go with this church, and we got to bond over club and all of those deep talks.
Yeah, I would say that too. I'd say some of my friends, not as much club the senior year, but I just really wanted to be no, this is something I want to do. I want to go to club. I want to be involved in the church. I'm not going to because some people didn't want to mean I don't have to or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so relationships have played a key part in both that for you. Let's turn to the current context. Obviously, you've kind of, maybe lost is the right word, lost a lot these last couple of months. What's probably grieved you, or what's kind of what are you saddest about just of how these last 2-3 months have turned out over your senior year?
I'm probably the most sad about the mission trip just because like I've gone on one every summer since I was in 6th grade, and it was like the last year with like some of my best friends. I'm upset about that.
I would say in like the high school aspect, I feel like you always senior year, the last 4 months are like you're like, you get to chill, you know? Everything's like done and you get like all the senior things. I think that's what I wanted. I mean, obviously they look better than they really are, but I don't know. Just all those activities that would have been at the end.
How have you balanced, or how have you kind of lived with your faith on one hand, but also just the unknown of the world right now? I mean, it's easy to kind of get lost in the fear. It's easy to get lost in the confusion of the unknown, or just the grief of losing so much and knowing that so much of the world is suffering right now. So how have you balanced that in your own life and the things that you've lost, while also like holding on to your faith?
I prayed a lot during this, and I also like journal just to like let it out because sometimes I don't want to like talk to people, and I don't know. It's just like I listen to music a lot that like calms me down, and like I remember that I should be happy that my family's healthy and I'm like we have a roof over our head and food.
Yeah, I think sometimes when I get caught up in like, oh, I lost everything, I just think of like there's so many people out there, like we all lost it. It's not like it's just one person lost everything, everyone, all the seniors lost it. And also I've just turned to God a lot, just being like, I know that he has like a path for us, like maybe it's not the plan we wanted, but like it's gonna turn out for something better.
Yeah. One of the things that has changed, I would say, in the last 5 or 10 years is kind of this huge understanding of that you need to know what your major is going to be and where you're going to live and what you're going to do the rest of your life and what your vocation is going to be and who you're going to marry. I mean, all this stuff, and like that if you don't have everything pre-planned and you know by like 8th grade that your life, you're just on the wrong track or you're lost. How have you balanced that as far as kind of looking into the future, and not just with the COVID things, but just in general as far as these next 4 years of college and life after college? Kind of what have you thought about that, or what are your hopes or dreams, I guess?
Well, ever since I was little, I knew I wanted to teach, so I've like always had my mindset on that, but I've had a couple different ideas, and I don't know, I just like realized that this is what I'm passionate about, and like I think I can make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way, like I've wanted to teach since like 5th grade, but I think I never realized that grown-ups aren't as grown-up as we think. Like they don't have it all together. Like people in college, I thought, oh, like they have their life together, but really no one knows what they're doing anyway. So I think we're all in the same boat. Like it's gonna happen. Whatever major we find to like is what's gonna happen.
And how would you say you've come to that realization? Because I think you're 100% right, but I would say even more so for people your age, but for older generations too. But just to appear at least on the outside that you have it all together, that like I always make the comparison to, it's like kind of a duck swimming on the water. On top of the water it looks all pleasant, but underneath the water it's paddling like crazy. And a lot of us live our lives that way, trying to stay afloat and trying to look like everything's okay. So like, how did you come to that realization? Just like, yeah, we're all like in this together. Like this is life, and then that whatever happens kind of happens.
I don't know. Growing up, I've just seen like other people struggle with things, and you realize like, I don't know, talking to friends, like you think, oh, like their life looks great. Like I didn't know you had any problems, and they tell you something, and you're like, wow, who knew that like you were struggling with this? Or even like looking at grown-ups, like if you really just like kind of watch them, I don't know.
Yeah.
You just notice like they're trying their best. Like
Right.
they're trying to manage their kids, but they don't really know what to do with them. They don't know how to get them to stop crying. They're just trying the best they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything to add? Yeah. No, that's good. I really appreciate that. What is the next, like we don't know what fall semester is going to look like, things like that, but kind of what are your hopes and dreams, even just for your first year of college? I know they say research has shown that whatever a college student chooses to do in their first kind of 21 days of college really sets the trajectory or the path for the next 4 years of college. And so how are you going to maintain your faith, or how are you going to stay who you are, knowing that college is going to bring a lot of external pressure and a lot of kind of new experiences?
Well, I know that there's a youth group in Mankato, so I plan on attending that and just like staying involved with good people, and I don't know, just like remembering like who I am and where I came from.
Yeah, I would say the same. I wanna try and sing in like the worship group. I don't know exactly what church yet. We're gonna try them out when I get there, but I don't know. I think just finding the right group of friends that like have the same values as you and like wants to do the same thing, and not just going with the first person you meet and being like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna do what they do.
Right. And I think that's hard because, I mean, obviously we want to be accepting, we want to be open to all people, but yet I think, yeah, we get pulled into that avenue of where, well, these people are at least are pretending to like me, so I want to make sure I do whatever I do with them, and even if that leads down bad roads. And so having that kind of game plan or having that kind of understanding that this is who I am, I know this going in, so no matter who I meet, no matter what experiences are set before me, these are the things, my standards that I'm living by, that I'm going to continue to live by. And so what's it been like kind of this last week? You got graduation on Saturday. What has brought you joy, or what has brought you excitement amidst these times?
The day that we got our graduation cap and gown, my friend and I, we've been friends since kindergarten, so we went back to Horace May, and we just like walked around there and took some pictures, and that was really fun to like see. And it's crazy because we thought it was so big when we were there, and like we realized how small it was.
Yeah, I think whenever I see my friends now, or just kind of anyone that I know, it's like joy. Like, oh, I finally get to see people. Like, that's been a big thing where, I don't know, I feel like I'm just realizing what I've had. You know what I mean? Like, you just kind of take it for granted. Like, oh, like we go to school, my friends are there, but now it's like, oh, I get to see you. Like,
What's the best part about graduating, or what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm excited for the future just because like I don't know, I like really like kids, so and working with kids, and I got to work with them this year. So I'm excited to like see where my future takes me.
yeah, I'm excited for the next step. Try something new, live by myself, figure things out on my own of what I want to do with my life, and not have decisions chosen for me as much as it is in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Well, these two are going to sing some more for us, and then we'll continue to worship and just celebrate our seniors and all that they've done. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.